The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party.
Thank you. My question is for the Premier. Yesterday, responding to my question about the $200 million decrease in departmental spending that the government plans for next year, the Premier indicated that it would come from reduced expenses related to COVID-19. Now, Mr. Speaker, that is a lot of reduced expenses at a time when the pandemic is offering no assurances that COVID-related spending is going to become unneeded anytime soon. Will the Premier tell us where he plans to make these reductions? Less PPE for frontline workers, fewer infection control measures in nursing homes, or just what has he got in mind?
The Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And whatever we need to deal with the pandemic, we will ensure that Nova Scotians have. There are forecasts out to look at what a new normal looks like when we have vaccinations out there and into communities. We're going to continue to make sure, as we have in the last year, over $600 million given to fight the disease. We're going to continue to make sure that we look at programs. I think it's incumbent on governments to ensure that every dollar we spend is in the appropriate areas. That's why we will be conducting a well-being review, and we're going to continue to make sure that we invest, as we have in this budget, increases in healthcare, increases in education, and historic increases to those most vulnerable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party.
Mr. Speaker, if we've learned anything about this virus, it's that everything about COVID-19 is uncertain. And the Deputy Minister of Health indicated as much yesterday when he said before the Health Committee this: "The expenses for COVID are large. As we proceed, and God willing, as our epidemiology is good, there would be less spending in the next fiscal year for COVID," unquote. God willing, he said, Mr. Speaker. Will the Premier acknowledge that a wish and a hope for a favourable epidemiology in the midst of all the COVID uncertainty is a darn poor foundation for a $200 million reduction?
The Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No, I won't. The assumptions were checked by the Auditor General to look at what was appropriate, Mr. Speaker. We conduct similar forecasts that other provinces do, Mr. Speaker. We are doing well with the pandemic. We're going to continue to ensure that every single amount of supplies or other types of expenses that we need to ensure we protect our healthcare workers on the front line is there. We're going to make sure that if there are more restrictions that need to be imposed, that this government realizes that it has an impact on Nova Scotians, and that's why we've come out with programs to help our tourism sector, to help our restaurant sector, and that will continue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party.
Also yesterday, when I asked about the $200 million decrease in departmental spending that the government is planning for next year, the Premier stood and spoke about being what he called prudent fiscal managers and making, and I quote exactly, wage settlements we can afford, unquote. Mr. Speaker, the government will be negotiating contracts with nurses. The government will be negotiating contracts with continuing care assistants. The government will be negotiating contracts with paramedics. Is the Premier saying that he intends to find his $200 million in reductions by taking it from the wage settlements of those who have carried us on their shoulders through the pandemic?
The Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I respect we have a different view. Those on the other side of the House do not want to see a plan that goes back to balance, Mr. Speaker. I think that we need to take a measured approach and not do what's tempting for other governments when you look at how we stimulate the economy, building back. We have strategic investments on how we build back better with climate change initiatives, $80 million. We have other initiatives in the form of equity to ensure that we have more inclusive economic growth. It's not the time to open up the floodgates and spend all kinds of money that we don't need to. We've targeted money in areas that we need to in healthcare. We continue to make sure that there's more inclusion in our classrooms. We continue to increase spending where we need to help those that are most vulnerable, Mr. Speaker. But I think Nova Scotians do not want to burden future generations with the programs we're incurring today, and that's what we continue to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.